We count on the unified support of this Council, as well as that of key regional partners and other stakeholders, to ensure progress on the political track across all our operations. A second area is women, peace and security. We are encouraged by the progress being made on the WPS agenda through our operations. Such progress is enabled by a greater focus on data-driven tracking. We have seen an expansion of the political space for women's participation and leadership in peace and political processes across peacekeeping contexts. In the Central African Republic, for example, women's representation in formal implementation and monitoring mechanisms increased at local and national levels in 2019. And in Lebanon, UNIFIL worked with women's organizations and the government of Lebanon to develop the first national action plan on Resolution 1325, endorsed in September 2019. The third area is protection. Our missions continue to prevent and respond to threats to civilians, which have unfortunately not decreased in the past 6 months. This is particularly the case in Mali, the Central African Republic, on the field. We have continued to roll out the Comprehensive Performance Assessment System, CPAS, in order to aid missions in planning, coordinating, tracking, and showing the impact of mandate implementation. With the outbreak of COVID-19, CPAS has been utilized to help prevent the spread of the virus in mission context, while strengthening the capacity of missions to support host countries' pandemic responses. Despite pandemic lockdowns, we have continued to ensure the operational readiness, including the COVID-19 preparedness of military and police units and individual military and police officers through a hybrid model of in-person and virtual training, assessments, and evaluations. 4 units have been remotely assessed as part of mission-specific fourth-generation processes, and 3 units remotely verified for the rapid deployment level. DPO military staff developed a concept for remote pre-deployment visits from April to July 2020 to assess the readiness of units before deployment. 3 remote pre-deployment visits have been conducted for units to be deployed to MINUSCA and MONUSCO. This innovative response enabled DPO to confirm the basic readiness of units and to provide further training recommendations in order to improve PDVs, while necessary under current travel restrictions, inevitably have limitations as compared to the insights and exchange possible through in-person engagement. Likewise, our training personnel are finding that despite its cost efficiency and facilitation of knowledge acquisition, virtual learning needs to be complemented by in-person training. It is for this reason that, following the resumption of rotations in July, DPO police staff visited Djibouti, Ethiopia, Jordan, and Senegal to pilot support efforts aimed at improving the operational readiness of police contributors. Having the right equipment in the right place at the right time with the right know-how remains a critical aspect of performance. Contingent oil equipment is of course key in this effort, and the number of units with critical COE gaps or performance lower than 70% have reduced from 23 units in the fourth quarter of 2018 to 18 units in the first quarter of 2020. Over the past year, exchange platforms have been developed and key peacekeeping manuals and standards updated to enhance the access and awareness of troop and police contributing countries. For the first time, 2 units from the PCRS Rapid Deployment Level, RDL, were successfully made available to be deployed to a mission within the required 60 days timeline. I thank the member states that made specialized capability pledges for MINUSMA and encourage others to do the same. We are also pursuing the implementation of the force adaptation plans in MINUSMA and MONUSCO. They are indispensable to our operational effectiveness, and they are an integral part of A4P. We count on continued support from member states for their implementation. Expanding the role of women is another key dimension to improve the overall performance and effectiveness of peacekeeping operations. More women in peacekeeping simply means a more effective peacekeeping. Resolution 2538, which this Council recently adopted, stresses anew this important goal and the need for continued efforts to achieve it. In this regard, we continue to make significant headway on ensuring gender parity amongst peacekeeping personnel. At headquarters, parity has been of peace operation and in the shared regional structure, with some exceptions. In the field, as of July, women made up 22% of civilian staff and 35% of heads and deputy heads of DPO and DOS-led mission. Targeted efforts to increase the representation of women in the field remain underway. As far as uniformed personnel are concerned, with the support of troop and police contributors, .6% of military professional posts at HQ against a target of 17%. And in the field, 18.3% of staff observers and military observers against a target of 17%. For police, women accounted for 28.2% of individual police officers in the field against a target of 22%, and 10.9% of formed police units against a target of 10%. Women also represented 29.6% of deployed justice and corrections personnel against a target of 27%. However, we are yet to achieve our targets for the percentage of women in formed contingents, and we collectively need to redouble our efforts in this area. While much has been achieved, the support of member states remains critical to maintaining hard-won gains and reach the targets. Turning to another area equally critical, that of safety and security of UN peacekeepers. I want to stress that the safety and security of our peacekeepers continue to be of paramount importance. Allow me to pay tribute to our fallen peacekeepers and commend troop and police contributing countries for their steadfast commitment to international peace despite the very real risk and price to pay. As we have continued our efforts to enhance safety and security, we have seen the continued decrease in fatalities in peacekeeping's operation from acts of violence, from 59 in 2017 to 27 in 2018, 25 in 2019 to 8 so far in 2020. The measures taken through the action plan for improving the security of United Nations peacekeepers have no doubt contributed to this. And I should highlight that the number of incidents and attacks against our peacekeeper, far from decreasing, has actually increased over the same period of time. We will make every effort to continue reducing the number of fatalities, as one peacekeeper fatality is one too many. We are invested in the implementation of Resolution 2518, a testament to this Council's commitment to the safety and security of peacekeepers. Over the past year, we have worked on developing clear policy and practices to ensure that we safeguard our personnel. We have also promulgated policies on casualty evacuation, CASEVAC, authority command and control, and the first combined guidelines on military and police cooperation mechanism. The new CASEVAC policy was preceded by rigorous stress testing, and missions have begun updating their CASEVAC procedures in line with the policy. And here I would like to pay special tribute to our cooperation with the Department of Operations Support and my brother and colleague, USG Atul Khare. This is a great cooperation that results on many advances, including the one that I just mentioned on protecting our peacekeepers. Meanwhile, MINUSCA, MINUSMA, and MONUSCO's support to host countries for the investigation and prosecution of serious crimes against peacekeepers resulted in an over 100% increase in the number of investigated cases. In a landmark development, 6 individuals were convicted in January and February 2020 in the Central African Republic for the killing of 11 MINUSCA peacekeepers in 2016 and 2017. In the area of conduct, we continue to conduct and discipline. We continue to strengthen our approach to preventing and addressing violations of our standards of conduct, including in the area of sexual exploitation and abuse. While the general trend in the number of allegations has been downward, we have continued to see intermittent spikes that indicate that we cannot let up. We have put in place analysis, risk management, investigation, and victim assistance measures. We must continue to strengthen our partnerships with member states and regional organizations to reflect the holistic and collective nature of this work. We need timely action to address pending allegations and expanded efforts to pursue criminal accountability and solutions for victims of sexual exploitation and abuse who raise paternity and child support claims. Member state engagement is imperative. We urge member states to continue to work with us, whether by making a voluntary contribution to the Trust Fund in support of victims of sexual exploitation and abuse, or through a high-level meeting on conduct and discipline early next year. For those who have not done so, we encourage you to become a signatory to the Secretary General's voluntary compact on the commitment to eliminate sexual exploitation and abuse, and to those who have signed, we ensure its full implementation. Turning to partnerships, we have continued to deepen our collaboration with regional organizations. Our political partnership with the African Union remains a critical part of our engagement, for instance in Darfur and in the Central African Republic. Strategic level consultations on specific country situations have also deepened, with an increased frequency of regular virtual horizon scanning meetings, for example, between the AU and the UN. On the ground, peacekeeping missions operate on a daily basis in partnership with regional organizations such as the AU, but also the European Union, as well as with agency funds and programs, in order to maximize the collective impact of our action, be it for capacity building or peace building. Our engagement on this area also extends to enabling and supporting peacekeeping partnerships, notably through the Triangular Partnership Project. We have continued to build TCC capacities in engineering, medical, and signals in Africa, and have now extended engineering training to ASEAN and the surrounding regions. The light coordination mechanism has already successfully matched a number of member states on training needs. Last but not least, peace building and sustaining peace. Our missions contribute, of course, to sustaining peace, whether by supporting inclusive peace settlements or through capacity building work. We do this with others in the UN system, as well as international financial institutions. For example, our partnership with the World Bank has contributed to improve joint delivery of security sector reform in Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mali, and South Sudan. A strong focus on our work in this area is to ensure successful transition that strengthen the UN system's engagement on sustaining peace. Mr. President, more than 2 years after the launch of A4P, we have made tangible progress in strengthening peacekeeping operations. This progress has been accomplished with your support as Council members, as troop and police contributors, as host countries, and as financial contributors. The support of partner organizations has also been essential. As we look to the future, we must build on the progress made and shift into a second phase of A4P implementation. The Secretariat has begun crafting overarching priorities for the next phase in 2021 and beyond in the continued framework of the A4P Declaration of Shared Commitments. For the next chapter, we are drawing upon analysis of continued challenges and need facing our operations, together with the push to complete pending tasks from the first phase. We are defining a limited number of global priorities for each A4P thematic areas. These priorities both of the UN system as well as of member states and other partners to advance on our shared commitments. Broadly speaking, our assessment is that priorities for the next phase should address at least 8 critical systemic cross-cutting issues that are relevant across A4P themes. First, we must redouble our efforts to ensure that all our actions are coherent with and contribute to overarching political strategies that further a positive peace. Aiming for short-term stability is not enough. Our missions should be vectors for inclusive, responsive, and transformative futures for the people we serve. This means linking particular mandate areas, whether protection of civilians or institution building, back to politics. Second, the pandemic has taught us painfully how widespread inequality is and how social justice, development, and peace go hand in hand. We need more substantive strategic integration with development and peace-building actors on an ongoing basis, not only during drawdown and transitions. Third, in today's challenging landscape, we need to work on deepening our integration within our operations among civilian and uniform components, as well as with the UN counter team. We also need to do so critically with regional organizations and actors that have a tangible influence in conflict-affected countries. Fourth, we will further our work on performance. We will continue to enhance mission and HQ performance and accountability, including through regular evaluations, policy frameworks, and systematization of integrated structures in peacekeeping missions. Within the integrated performance and accountability framework, we will also continue our efforts to better recognize good performance and identify and respond to cases of underperformance through appropriate remedial measures. Fifth, and very much related to performance, as they are by essence linked, we will continue our efforts to improve the safety and security of our peacekeepers. We will do this through ongoing implementation of the action plan on improving security for peacekeepers in areas such as on force protection, camp defense, and reinforced medical standards, training, and care. We will also continue the shift towards more agile operations with improved situational awareness. Sixth, we must continue to strengthen our strategic guidance and planning capacities, including by developing clear objectives that are known to all and are reflected in directives that provide strategic direction. We must also implement critical new policies on command and control and CASEVAC and further improve medical and welfare support for all UN personnel. Seventh, we need to deepen our efforts to achieve a more robust and agile posture, including by drawing upon new technologies and effective strategic communications. This means not only generating the right capabilities from troop and police contributors, but also shifting our traditional approaches for example, outreach, countering mis- and disinformation, camp management, engineering, and logistics. Finally, we must apply a gender perspective across all our areas of work. Gender is not only about numbers, it's also about the meaningful consideration of the gender-differentiated impacts of our work and what we hope to achieve. These areas will draw upon and contribute to progress in the 8 A4P teams, from mission-wide performance, safety and security, to sustaining peace and women, peace and security. Looking forward, we would like UN peacekeeping to continue to be an indispensable multilateral tool in the peace and security toolbox in the years to come. We will need to continue to respond to the immediate challenges, including fragmented armed groups, weak commitments to peace by conflict actors, and the regionalization of conflict. Over the next 5 to 10 years, these challenges will be compounded by other ones. We are likely to see a world transformed by potentially lethal and disruptive technologies, climate-related disruptions, or more urbanized populations. To have missions fit for purpose for the coming decades, we are examining responses to systemic issues and have begun an internal reflection on the types of adaptations that will be required for UN peace operations to continue to make a difference in the future. As we continue our work to enhance UN peace operations, I want to pay tribute to the women and men in peacekeeping who are working every day in the field and in headquarters to deliver on the mandates that this Council has entrusted us and to continuously improve our operations. We count on your support as Council members, as well as that of other peacekeeping partners, to strengthen our operations through Action for Peacekeeping and beyond. Our shared commitment for peacekeeping, as embodied in the Declaration, remain the cornerstone to ensure that peacekeeping is fit for purpose and able to tackle the challenges it faces. Our continued engagement for the implementation of these commitments remain indispensable. The upcoming 2021 Peacekeeping Ministerial in Seoul will be another opportunity to make tangible contribution. As we mark the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, we need to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. The need to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war remains imperative as ever. It is only through strengthened joint and collective international action and solidarity that we can ensure that progress continues to be made in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. President.